Good evening and welcome to the pilot episode of Eagle Eye. I'm your host, James Connors. The idea for Eagle Eye started just a few months ago when both myself and my co-producer, Charlotte Bergmann, envisioned a news magazine show for ATV. We wanted to be able to tell stories that matter to the AU and DC communities and be able to tell them with more depth and perspective. On tonight's broadcast, we sit down with Student Government President Patrick Kelly, and Savoir Adore talks about their upcoming album and tour, and I have a conversation with AU's new athletic director, Dr. Billy Walker. Student Government President Pat Kelly, now a junior here at AU, won the presidency last spring with nearly 50% of the vote. Correspondent Charlotte Bergmann sat down with President Kelly to discuss his life, his presidency thus far, and what his expectations are for himself and AU for the coming year.
President Kelly, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
So first of all, you've had a really busy summer. How has your year been going? How's the summer been going? I know you were in DC.
The summer was definitely a very productive time for the new student government team to start planning for this new upcoming year. We obviously planned for an excellent year of programming. We're starting to see that with Anderson Cooper and Ezra Klein, as well as the concert we had with Lupe Fiasco and now Group Love. So it was definitely a very busy summer, but one that was definitely worth it.
And you must have taken a lot of time this summer just to think about, wow, I've actually gotten to this point. I'm with such a great team. And starting from the beginning to where you are now, what kind of things have you been thinking about? I mean, who's inspired you along this path to the office of the president?
I never thought coming to AU I would be student government president by my junior year, so that was definitely a huge surprise. There have definitely been a few people that have been instrumental in allowing me to get to where I am. I think one of them was definitely Sarah McBride, who was president 2 years ago. She's just a phenomenal role model. Besides that, my parents have been beyond supportive, and it's just the friends that I've made here at American. It's the people who have allowed me to be the person I always wanted to be.
And speaking of never having expected being president of the AU student government, you've also had to come over some personal adversity. I understand that you have dyslexia. Do you think you could talk about that as one of the issues that you've had to overcome to the office of the president?
It's something that has allowed me throughout life to know that, when people put in 100% effort to get something done, I have to put in 110% effort. And, I was diagnosed really early on. People say don't let your disability define you. I kind of do let it define me because it's what's really instilled hard work into whatever I do. So it's definitely something that I'm really proud to say I am dyslexic.
And you were also open about it in your campaign for the presidency, along with your clear, innate sense of humor. Do you want to talk about kind of the secrets behind your campaign and what made it so successful, who you worked with?
It was exhausting, emotionally draining, but the people that I had on my staff were the best people I could ever ask for. Chandler Thornton was my campaign manager. He's now the director of the Kennedy Political Union. And then we also had people on the campaign who, like Ray Bowman, who's now my chief of staff, who are just guys who you want to talk to, and they're hilarious. And he came up with some really good ideas for videos. It was just a fusion of different ideas, and I think we also put together a really good message of what students want and how students deserve more from their student government.
There's a debate going on that's happening during your campaign and during your presidency now about whether to raise the student activities fee or to split the funds amongst the different clubs. Your administration has been met with some criticism about how this problem is going to be solved. Would you care to comment on that, or what progress is being made so far?
The student activity fee is, in my opinion, one of the largest issues we need to tackle this year. There hasn't been any progress that's been made on it in over a decade. Personally, I believe that there is going to have to be some changes made. If there is an increase, I think that it would be extraordinarily modest. I think anywhere from $5 to $10. The way we're doing it right now, I'm contacting all of the heads of the 3 organizations, and we are going to sit down. I have a proposed model for how we're going to create a commission to really hammer this issue out, and I really want it to be on the spring ballot for students to vote on if we can all come to a consensus.
And it's interesting that you bring up the input of the students. Talk about the importance of the student roundtable. What purpose will that serve in terms of solving issues and problems that are happening and making sure that students have their voices heard?
Absolutely. So the student roundtable was an idea that I thought of during the campaign, and the basic idea is to have different organization leaders come together and talk about what should student government be doing for them. We want to hear from all organizations on campus, whether it's media, whether it's a club, whether it's Greek life, about what should we be advocating for, what should we be going to our administration on.
If you could give advice to any AU student returning or new, what would it be for this coming year?
Of course, it's doing well in classes, but it's also taking advantage of all the opportunities we have as students who go to school in DC, but also as students of American University on campus. So get involved, do the things that you never thought you would do, because you can be the person you've always wanted to be here, and that's what's so special about American University.
And Charlotte joins us now in studio. And Charlotte, it seems that President Kelly's off to a great start so far.
I really think so, and when I had the opportunity to sit down with him, he talked about a lot of issues that he was really enthusiastic about and passionate about, referring to the allocation of funds to certain student organizations. That's something that he really wants to continue to pursue throughout the entire academic year and making sure that students get the money that they need and deserve.
And additionally, we've had a great semester of programming so far. Group Love was just here.
Yeah, Group Love had a fantastic performance, and on top of that, Anderson Cooper was the American University Wonk of the Year. So that event was put on not only by student government, but also by the Kennedy Political Union. And that event just showed the power of students on campus, and it was an event that parents and students can enjoy together.
Great, and we look forward to the rest of the programming they have in store for us. Thank you so much, Charlotte. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Savoir Adore is a musical duo made up of Paul Hammer and Deidre Muro. They were in D.C. a few weeks ago for a show, and correspondent Iana Kozelsky sat down with them to talk about their album and tour.
You are Savoir Adore. You started in 2008. How did you meet?
Well, we met at NYU, at college actually. We were in a songwriting club together actually, and we met at the club. We ended up playing a lot of shows together.
So how did you two decide to become a band then?
It was sort of interesting because we never decided to be necessarily a band at first, but we both were just pretty frustrated with doing the singer-songwriter thing.
It was just totally based on, having fun and like playing around.
So how did you come up with your name?
The first time we ever recorded together, we were working on this sort of experimental ambient piece, and Deidre ended up singing in French. We thought it'd be fun to do something with a French name, and we were like, well, what's important? And it really just a kind of, it means roughly to know love or to know how to love, and it just fit.
So for viewers that are not familiar with your work, how would you describe your sound?
I mean, at the root of it, it's pop music. So it sort of is this little like weird creature of like fantasy pop rock, but also a lot of like synthesizers and electronic dance stuff.
Well, what were your influences?
Well, again, in the nature of how the project came about, it was all about just looking into everything that inspired us ever since we were kids.
I would say it's a sort of a mixture of that, of the 80s dance production, 90s songwriting, and then classic sort of pop music.
You've had your songs remixed by Love Life, Database, and the Mighty Five. So what is it like to hear remixes of your own songs?
It's like giving something that you thought was done, or that it is done in its own way, like for us, but then it's just like breathing a whole new life into it in a way you could have never imagined.
It's also interesting to see what people will pick out from a finished song. Like to them, what is the part of it that they then will play with and create something completely new.
Do you have a favorite remix?
Probably the Mighty Five remix, I think, it's really cool too, because what they ended up doing was they remixed our song Regalia, but they ended up taking elements from our other songs too, like Dreamers, and this a B-side that we had a couple years ago called Secret Fires.
It's also incredibly like epic and cinematic.
You guys are playing at DC 9 tonight, the 9th Street downtown. So without giving away too much information, what is your concert experience like? What should fans expect to see tonight?
So the show is it's a colorful, light experience. It's a dance party. It is
At times.
Yes.
It's a journey.
It's a journey through sort of our.
That's what I would say.
Our worlds.
It's a journey.
So you're on tour right now, and you actually just came back from South America, right?
Yes.
How was that?
It was very different, but very awesome.
And we played in Bogota, in Colombia, and Medellin, and then in Santiago in Chile.
So you went to Chile, but is there any dream place that you would like to perform?
Japan.
Japan.
I mean, hopefully we'll get there, but I would say Japan would be amazing.
Yeah.
So after your tour's over, what's next for you guys?
The rest of the fall, we're going to start working on new music probably for the next record, because a lot of these songs now are like 2 years old for us, and we've released them and toured a lot. We toured so much this year that I think that's sort of the next step, and then hopefully a lot more touring again next year.
And Iana joins us now in studio. And Iana, it seemed that they were so passionate about their music.
Yeah, not only was Savoir Adore passionate about their music, but they just took whatever influenced them and expressed it through music. Their sound is something that I've never heard before. They're electronic, they're pop, they're rock. Their show experience is magic, as they described it. It's just a whole different world.
And it seems that their careers are off to a very promising start so far, considering that their work has been featured in both Pretty Little Liars and Connected Ventures for Xbox 360.
Yeah, a TV show and a video game. They're already getting so much attention. I mean, they're based in Brooklyn, and a lot of artists are actually from there. And they just have so much energy that they just express through their music, and I think that's going to get them far.
Well, we certainly hope so. Great. Thank you so much, Iana. Really appreciate it.
Yes, you're welcome.
Dr. Billy Walker is the new athletics director at American University. He replaced Keith Gill in February, who went on to become the AD at Richmond University. I sat down with Dr. Walker to discuss his time in the job so far and his vision for the future. Our former athletic director, Keith Gill, left AU in December to take the same position at the University of Richmond. When did you first consider the position at AU, and what was the process like?
Sure, I heard about it, when Keith was leaving, and it's a small world, so you know about those kinds of things. So I really probably started considering it in January, and I decided to throw my name in the ring for it, mainly just because American, it was the kind of place that I wanted to come to. I didn't want to leave Air Force to go to just any job as an AD. I wanted to go to a school that had shared those same values, of academics first and integrity and the great student athletes that we have here. So that's what made this place really appealing to me.
Some of our varsity sports here at AU have already begun their seasons. Could you talk a little bit about the outlook you have for some of the various programs that have started already?
Sure. This fall we have some great programs already. Volleyball has been in 2 tournaments. They've won them both. They're 6-0 right now. Yeah, undefeated. And they've only even given up 1 set, otherwise it's been all sweep. So volleyball's off to a fantastic start. Cross country, they've been doing real well, placing real high in the meets that they've been running in. Both soccers are playing well. Soccer's one of those sports you can dominate and still not win that, and win the match. So, they're getting ready to get in about another 2 weeks to actually get in the Patriot League play, but they're playing well also.
Bender Arena has also been given a nice makeover this summer with updated locker rooms and a redoing of the pool and even a training room upgrade. Could you talk about the project in some more detail?
Sure. Yeah, it's been something that was in the works long before I got here. So I've just been fortunate enough to be here as it's kind of coming to fruition. But it's a fantastic makeover, and the contractors and the university architect's office, everybody did a superb job this summer, taking it down the day after graduate or commencement and getting it ready by the time school started. So renovated all the locker rooms, and not just really renovate. I mean, knocking out walls and building new walls to build new locker rooms for each individual team instead of just having the one general use locker like it had before. So each team has their own locker room, team room. We almost doubled the size of the training room because that way we're not having student athletes out in the hallways doing rehab and that kind of thing. So that was a necessity just for the safety and well-being of our student athletes. So it's a huge upgrade from what it was just 3 months ago.
Right. And the Patriot League has also been undergoing some expansion recently with the additions of Boston University and Loyola University of Maryland. Could you talk a little bit about the direction that the conference is headed with the new teams and what it means for AU athletics?
Sure, that's one of the things I really like about the Patriot League, that it's in this era of instability and conference realignment, and every day over that last year or so you're waking up and somebody was moving somewhere else. The Patriot League was pretty stable, and then actually was able to add 2 quality programs and quality institutions that are like-minded. And that's what's nice about it. BU and Loyola both share the same values as the rest of the Patriot League institutions, that focus on academics, and they're going to fit in great. And it also gets the Patriot League into 2 major markets, Baltimore and Boston, which is great for all the rest of the programs, that exposure in those 2 major markets.
When you were hired in February, Dr. Kerwin had this to say about your qualifications for the job. He said, Quote, he has a commitment to achieving a proper balance of academic rigor and accomplishment and success in intercollegiate athletics, end quote. Could you talk about how you go about achieving that balance for the athletic department?
Sure, and I think it's a philosophy and an environment and climate that you create within as a leader within the department that and all the coaches understand it and they buy into it. Otherwise, they wouldn't be at an institution like this as well. That they know that their student athletes are here to get a great education while at the same time receiving a quality Division I, NCAA Division I experience. And there's not that many institutions around the country that can provide both of those at the level that we do here. So we're going to keep fostering that. We ensure that all our coaches know, that all the recruits know, and students once they get here know that academics is the key to why they're here, that they're going to leave here with a fantastic degree. But they're also going to be able to compete at that high level and hopefully compete for some championships. Finally tonight, we leave you with the sights and sounds from Euro Night 2013. Hosted by the French Embassy and the delegation of the European Union to the United States, this annual cultural event, now in its 6th year, attracts students and ambassadors alike to enjoy food, music, and dancing. Let's take a look.
The preparations for Euro Night 2013 are almost complete, and shortly, over 1,500 members of the DC community will be coming here to the Embassy of France to celebrate the European Union.
Well, we've got a range of people that attend this event every year. Tonight we're expecting over 1,500 people, and the range is, we've got everyone. There'll probably be some kids, and then there'll be some college students, there'll be some high schoolers, and it's a big range. We'll probably even have older people, retired people, and they're, but it brings everybody together. Everyone has the conversation that it starts is wonderful because you get to jump around to the different countries' tables. You get to not only talk with them and get to taste some of their food. You can pick up some literature.
Some music.
You listen to some music. And then when you leave the table, whether it's at the event and you're dancing or whatever, you're talking about what you just experienced. Much like going to a museum, it engages this conversation that even, we hope, carries outside of the event.
Here we get to meet a lot of people that are very interested in different cultures and foreign cultures, of course, and especially in the programs that the embassies offer. So this is very nice and important for us to be here.
I think this gives you an idea, especially for the undergraduate students, to know and discover a little bit more the European Union, especially the ones who are not that aware of it, as well to discover the culture, what really EU means. Multiple countries here that me as a U.S. foreign policy student definitely I'm interested in how other cultures, they act, they react to the U.S., how they collaborate, they cooperate, and how we can enforce and again strengthen these bilateral relations from all perspectives, economically, politically, socially, culturally.
The event is very attractive. We have many people here, many young people, and everybody seems to have great fun.
And why do you think this event attracts so many young people, so many students, particularly college students?
Well, I think, they can come here, they can taste food from all the European Union countries, they can listen to music from Europe, they can dance, they can learn more for their next trips, if they want to go and visit the country in Europe. This is an event that we have organized with the French Embassy for a few years now, and we are very grateful to the French Embassy that they can host this event because the delegation, the Office of the European Union is not as big. And here we have really very big grounds, so they can hold almost 2,000 people.
Thanks so much for tuning in. I'm James Connors, and if there's a story, we'll watch it with an eagle eye. Good night.